Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mediation and Beyond's YouTube channel. I am super excited today to have Payaldaftari Kotari. She's an advocate and solicitor practicing at the Bombay High Court. She has completed a course in mediation under the Program on Negotiation, an initiative of the Harvard Law School. That's a great program, Payal. She is impaneled she's impaneled as an arbitrator and mediator with the Indian Merchants Chamber. And Payal is the executive committee member, director, and co-chair of the mediation cell of the Council for Fair Business Practices, BP, which is a reputed NGO founded by the stalwarts of the Indian industry in 1966 and is dedicated to protecting the rights of the consumers. Super important. Mediation is Payal's calling, as it enables her to be part of the solution and not the problem. It also involves self-growth and learning, which is a lifetime commitment for her. Payal believes that dialogue and understanding can solve the various conflicts staring at the world today, whether it's global warming or bioterrorism or strife across the world. So thank you, Payal, for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you to you also, Colleen. Thank you for having me over. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. As we were talking about before we started a little bit, I'm really interested in people's journey and how they get to where they are. So when I had met you, I was really interested in you being in a completely another culture than myself, but the commonality, we are two women.
Yes.
Kind of playing in a man's field, so to speak, the mediation field. And so I wanted to find out what that's like across the globe.
Okay, so you want me to ask for that? Yes, for a woman, it's difficult across the globe. Okay. I mean, I always, when I started my journey also as a lawyer, I started when I was just doing my second year law. And at that time, I was very clear that the journey is going to be doubly tough for me compared to a man. I mean, and I think that would be an understatement because the kind of struggles that we as women go through. And it starts right from your home. I came from a family of 8 siblings. And yeah, we were 7 sisters and a brother younger to me. So, well, you guessed it right. All for a boy. All these 7 daughters. Of course, my mother says I always wanted daughters first, but then it went on and on for her. So it never stopped. But yes, so it starts from there, from where you are taught that you are not equal to a man. Forget not equal to a man, you are below a man. I mean, whether it's your, it starts with the smallest of things, that when you first start menstruating also, you are like told, okay, now you need to be careful. You can't play around like your brother, which I used to always. And it starts from there, and then it went to the joy. Of course, I was a bright child in school, so never had any issues on that. Went on, and we coming from a conservative Gujarati Hindu Jain family. The norm in our families was that girls get married by the age of 22, 24 max, and my older sisters did. So it was expected, and I was kind of a rebel because I always told my mom, if my brother can do it, why can't I? And I will. So I kind of rebelled, and I went on with my education. I said, I'm going to do law. And she said, what? You will not get a guy to get married to if you're that well educated. So it starts with that. But having said that, when I rebelled and I decided to go on, she didn't stop me. Because somewhere I think within, she herself had that ambition. She in fact wanted one of her daughters to become a doctor, but it didn't happen. And then she settled with a lawyer and a solicitor. And I remember when I cleared my solicitors, she was so proud. She literally lifted me off the ground. So proud. So yes, it is a mixed bag, but life. Sorry?
What number are you of girls?
7. I am number 7 in my siblings.
You're number 7. Wow.
Yes, the youngest, so pampered also, but with these limitations for a girl child.
And was your father okay with you going into law?
I think I can't hear you properly, Colleen. You're
Was your
sounding a little.
was your father okay with you going into law?
My father was a very content and quiet man, and he never opposed to what my mother said. In fact, in that sense, my mother was the dominating partner, and she took on the mantle in the family. Yes.
And so when you entered the field of law, how were you received as a woman in a kind of a man's field?
So my senior, so what I did was after my second law, I signed my articles because I wanted to become a solicitor. I heard my professor telling that there are 60,000 lawyers in India, but only 600 solicitors. So that day I
what is a
decided
solicitor?
a solicitor is a special examination that we appear for after signing articles with a solicitor, working under that solicitor, and appearing for a very highly specialized exam where we have like 6 papers, but we need to study, we need to take a leave for around 6 months and study for that. Extremely specialized, and the percentage, the result was 2 to 5% of passing. So that's tough in examination because that's why we have only 600 solicitors. You may have 60. Of course, the number has increased a lot now of lawyers, but solicitors still remains quite specialized. So in that sense, yes.
So what is the difference in how you practice law if you're just an attorney or a lawyer versus being a solicitor? Do you get different kinds of cases, that higher level cases?
So what happened is until 1976, there was a distinction that only solicitors could practice in chambers and barristers or counsels could practice in the court. The solicitors could do drafting. That was very, very extremely specialized and could give title to properties, title clearances. Post 1976, that distinction was out, but still it continued in Bombay and Calcutta. So it's a very specialized field where your drafting, your clearance of titles, conveyancing is a mastery that you acquire after you work under someone and you appear for this exam.
Gotcha. And so how did you maneuver into mediation from there?
So mediation came much later when of course, I took a sabbatical after my daughter for a while after she was born. I thought I could wean her off in 6 months and get back to work like how I used to as a lawyer and as a solicitor. But it was tough. I didn't have the heart. So I stayed at home and I used to go to work once a week, then started with twice a week, then thrice a week. But still, it was challenging. And I felt there was a kind of a void in my life at that point of time because I wasn't doing what I exactly wanted to, but also I didn't, the guilt and all that we go through because of the child,
Yes.
your mood swings, blah, 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 that went on. So I said, I need something to keep me going also. At the same time, my creative juices need to be on, flowing all the time. And so then I gradually got into mediation in 2019 when my daughter also started getting a little independent. She's a teenager, and of course, she does need me still. But mediation was something that I felt is my calling by then. That I realized that all the world's problems, it starts with your family and with yourself, any problem for that matter. And if you have a dialogue, whether it's with yourself or with the other, you can resolve a lot of problems. And that's how, mediation got into my system. I did a course with someone here in Bombay, and then I did it with Harvard. And I am getting more and more connected to that field because that is connected to my self growth, my self improvement. It is like an ongoing process. So I feel that's my calling right now.
And in your bio that you had sent me, I'm a firm believer too that everything can be solved through conversation. and dialogue. Like it just,
Yes.
I mean, there isn't really anything that you can't sit down and work it out,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
but trying
I
to
s-
get people to think that that's the way to go is so challenging because we've all been taught, like you were saying, from childhood, we're taught things and we're not taught how to problem solve. You know, we're taught how to do things, but problem solving isn't one of them, you know? So
Yes.
I remember we were on another event where you had read a piece of poetry. So you also write poetry, right? And so
Yes.
where did that start coming in? And do you find that that influences your work?
Uh, yes. So poetry, I love Rabindranath Tagore and his Gitanjali. That book is a gorgeous work of literature. When you read it, you actually like, I'll just read a small, my book, it's here, the book is here.
What's the
I'll
name?
just read a short, this version, or, some, the first poem on it, which has always attracted me, that thou hast made me endless. Such is thy pleasure. This frail vessel thou emptiest again and again, and fillest it ever with fresh life. Okay, this is just one small passage. And it is so rich and it kind of enriches your soul. So poetry as a child, of course, you had your daffodils and, Robert Frost, you had Fire and Ice. But what I really connected with poetry was with when I started reading Gitanjali. Of course, then I didn't write. But in the lockdown, I would just write my thoughts out every day. I journal also. But in the lockdown, it just came to me. Poetry just flew. I mean, it just entered my system and it just started then in the lockdown. Those were the tough times I felt. And in the tough times, poetry came out. That's how it started.
Wow. I would have never thought that that your poetry started during the lockdown. When
Yes,
you were sharing, I was like, wow, she must be have been writing poetry for a long time. But that's amazing to me that you're just starting. It's amazing what's in your soul and you don't know it until you start. Right.
absolutely. Absolutely. We don't realize it.
No, I love that. And so with all you have going on, so being a solicitor, being a mediator, taking care of self, which I can see through your writing and reading, being a mom, what is it you would like your legacy to be? What do you want to be known for in life?
Uh, to be known for, that she was a free soul. She was free spirited. She lived like a life like a newly married bride on her terms with that full freedom and zest, and simultaneously inspiring others to do so only from my behavior and my actions.
That's
And to
beautiful.
sum it up, I would sum it up with again Rabindranath Tagore's poem, which is Fear. You must have heard of it, Colleen.
Yes, yes.
It's beautiful that you want to wake up in a world which is without these boundaries, and that is at the global level, but at your personal level, you're not broken down by that dread of habit. There is, you are continuously growing, flowing. There's no stop. Even death doesn't stop you. Doesn't. It's just a bend. It's not the end, I feel.
Endlessness, right? It goes
Yes.
on and on, right? So
Yes.
I love that, Payal. I really I appreciate you taking the time to just talk with me about your trajectory, how you where you were, where you are, where you're going, and I think the such modeling for you have a daughter or son?
Daughter.
Daughter.
It's a daughter.
Yeah. So and I have a daughter too. It's like so it's that
Oh,
modeling.
lovely.
It's the modeling, and so you lead by example, right? You lead by conversation, you lead by how you live your life. You're known for your actions, your behaviors, as you were just so eloquently sharing. And so as a mom, I'm sure that that is significant for you to be able to pass down a good things from what you learned as a child, and then you pass down your own thoughts and behaviors that you take with you to somebody else. And I think that's the beauty of kind of that endlessness.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so thank you so much for coming on. I really could talk for a long time. I actually just love listening to your accent. I think you speak so to me it's poetic. I think the language is poetic. I do. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And I love listening to your accent. It's
I
that
never
mutual
think about
admiration. And one of the reasons why when someone speaks well and so eloquently, I just love it because it's music to the ears. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with my husband, because he spoke very well. And for a guy, for a man, it's very rare. So one of the reasons was that he spoke so eloquently, and I still look upon him for that.
you know, that means everything, right? I mean, tone, speech, flow, words,
Yes,
and words,
yes,
as you know, in the work that we do as mediators, words matter, words are powerful, and
yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's everything. So I love that you kind of put that in there about your husband. I think that that's beautiful. And what a blessing to have picked him as your husband for your daughter. Like what a good model as a man.
Yes, yes, yes. It always, it's always so, everything is so interconnected. And you don't realize it at that point of time. But, like life, you learn it in bits and pieces over a period of time. It's not in one go. And you realize this later on in life that, oh, okay, I did this. You don't believe it, but you've done it. And only you've done it. But we as women always doubt ourselves, I feel. If you've read Sheryl Sandberg's Lenin,
What a
uh,
fantastic.
fantastic book, and there she also writes that when I stood first in my class, I didn't believe it. She wrote that, and I immediately connected because when I stood second in my class, I didn't believe it. I said the teacher must have made some mistake. Can you imagine to the way we self doubt? At
Yes.
least I feel that, and I noticed that in my daughter too.
Oh, I
You know,
know.
I can't believe it. But I
Yes.
said, no, Bacha, believe in yourself. That's you.
It's very hard because women were taught that even to believe in yourself is bragging, or you oh you shouldn't, and yes you
Yes,
should. You stand in it, you own it, be proud of it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for your contribution to the world. I think
No, thank you for
there's,
granting me this opportunity. Thank you so much, Colleen. It was lovely talking to you.
yes, it was, and I will see you again on the internet, I'm sure,
Sure,
at another
sure.
event. Thank you, Payal.
Pause. Thank you. Bye bye.
Take care.
You too. Bye.